Hello again, and welcome to the second episode of Student Vegetable Diaries 2013. I've been out in Flexney all morning. I've been weeding my strawberries ready for the summer, looking forward to them. But what we're going to do today is we're going to head down to my adoptive student flat, see a friend of mine, and we're both going to show you how you can use your student grow packs in student halls to get some vegetables growing. And we're going to head on down there now. Right, so now we're back at my adopted flat. I'm going to get Jennie, who's a second year architect student, to use one of the student grow packs and show you how, using information from the previous episode, how she's going to start growing some vegetables in the flat.
So I bought one of the student vegetable grow packs after I'd seen it in the episode, and I brought it back to Walls and I'll open them up and see how it goes. And I'll be growing spinach and rocket this week to see how that goes first. But better make my carton holder thingy-majiggy. I'm using old milk cartons and I'm turning them into my containers, and I'm putting sufficient drainage holes in them by attacking them. Made my cartons, so now I'm going to fill them up with compost, and then I will water them with my handmade watering can, and then they'll be prepped for the seeds. Now I've watered my compost, I'm going to make some grooves in it ready for my seeds. They'll be about 1 centimetre deep. I've got my number 10 spinach and my number 8 rocket, and I'm going to plant these every sort of 2 to 3 centimetres within these grooves. Now that I've planted my seeds, I'm going to cover it in some dry compost about 1 centimetre deep. Now I've made my containers and filled them with compost, and then watered the compost and made the grooves and filled it with seeds and put the compost on top, I will now put them on the windowsill. I put them in the windowsill so they should get loads of light, and I'll check them every couple of days by putting my finger in and checking them they're really moist.
So now the vegetables in the window, we're going to head back to Flexney, and today we're going to look at tomatoes and bean planting. Right, well that was a quick recap of what to do with your student grow pack if you're in a student halls or residence, and where it is possible to grow some veg even in the student halls. I guarantee it is possible. What we're going to do today at Flexney is I'm going to show you how the veg I planted last week are getting on. As you can see, they're growing quite well. All I've done is kept an eye on them, given some water whenever it was needed, usually every couple of days, 3 days, they need the water. But on the whole, they're pretty much self-sufficient. We'll keep an eye on them as they go through the season. Tomatoes. Right, there are no seeds for tomatoes in the student grow packs, but if you want to go and get some tomato seeds, you can buy them at most places, even supermarkets now, or anywhere that sells gardening equipment supplies. They're not that difficult. People, for some reason, think tomatoes are a lot more difficult than they are. They're not. I'm going to this year grow bush tomatoes, purely because I like to hang them. With the limited space we have here at Flexney, I thought I'd put some hanging basket up and have them kind of trailing down. Plus they're very simple to care for, and they're very high yielding. So what I'm going to do is I've got some pots. I've pre-watered some compost, which are in the pots which you would have seen last week. All I'm going to do now is put some seeds into the pots, and once the seed's in, I'm going to dust some compost over the top of that, and give it a quick little water and put them in somewhere warm. Tomatoes, when they're growing them on, they like to be in a fairly warm environment, about 15 degrees or warmer for most varieties. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to look at using a window ledge with a radiator underneath it, and how you can make it suitable for growing your tomatoes on. So this is one of the window sills at Flexney Place, and unfortunately you can see there's a radiator right below the windowsill, and it's really bad for plants to have inconsistent hot and cold temperatures. So what I've done is I've taken a box, and you can use any kind of box, usually something like a cereal box will be fine, taken out one side, and I've sticky taped it to the windowsill, and what that's going to do is going to prevent all the hot air from the radiator going straight to the plant, and hopefully it should keep it more of a stable environment for the plant to be in, but also a warm environment. It gets plenty of sunlight, and if you live somewhere with a radiator below your windowsill, this is a great way, so you can still utilise the space, even if there's the hot heat from the radiator below it. I'm going to leave my tomatoes here, now they've been watered, keep an eye again on their moisture levels in the soil, but they should start shooting through in a couple of weeks' time. Right, well that was a quick demonstration of tomatoes and how to start them growing. Don't worry, I'll give you more information as we go through the season. Just do that and I'll keep you posted on what to do next. For more information, look on the accompanying fact sheet for this episode. But now we're going to look at peas and beans. I'm a big fan of growing broad beans because they're very simple. You can't find them in any of the student grow packs, but if you get some yourself, just follow this instruction. What I like to do with my broad beans is make small containers, as you can see, for them to go in. What it requires is an old newspaper. One standard sheet of newspaper, and if you cut it into thirds, you'll have strips like this. All you do then is take your newspaper and a used toilet roll, put it halfway down and start wrapping it round. Once it's wrapped up, just give the bottom a twist lightly and kind of scrunch it up at the bottom. And to take some sort of blunt instrument, I'm using a whisk here while in the whisk, and just kind of flatten that bottom bit out. Give a bit of pressure down there, and then what you'll find is when you pull it off, you'll have a self-supporting small container. The great thing about these is they decompose as the plant grows, and they just make fantastic small containers. And once they start growing indoors, you can plant them straight outside and leave them. There's no disturbing the root system because if you just move the actual pot itself. So what I'm going to do now is fill it with some compost. Yep. And I'm going to grab my beans. I like to put 2 per container, so just put 2 in there and just poke them down to the bottom. And then about halfway, aim for about a thumbnail deep. That's what I go for normally. Just pushing them down. I'm going to give them another dusting of compost. Because broad beans are quite big in seed form, I usually water these after I've put the compost on, purely because they won't wash away unlike other seeds and they'll be fine and secure in there. So now I'm going to give them a water. And now that I've done that, I'm going to take them outside and put them next to my spinach and carrots and rocket and let them grow on. And then once they grow to a suitable size, I'm going to show you how to transfer them into a larger pot so they can grow up outside in a small patio or a garden, ready for the beans come June time. That was the second episode of 2013 done. I hope you learned a lot, and next episode we're going to start going over some of the vegetables that you'll find in student grow packs, and I'm going to enjoy the sunshine in lovely February, and well, I'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Cheers.